That's a difficult question. I sounded like a Minecraft villager just then. So our first question comes from Sarcastic, and he asks, what made you come up with the name Huxley? Which is a great question. Not many people know why I'm called Huxley, because I guess I've never formally explained it, but it comes from the writer Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World. When I was younger, my mother had this massive bookshelf, and a lot of them were by Aldous Huxley, and so I always saw his name, and I was like, oh, what an interesting name, because I've never seen anyone with that name before. And she'd read his books to me and stuff, and I always thought that was so fascinating. I saw a book by Aldous Huxley, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I searched up Huxley, Huxley, and that was taken by, I think, there's like a German DJ with that name. And I was like, oh, shit, I guess I can't use that. And I landed on the X because I liked the symmetry of the XLX. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, it comes from the writer Aldous Huxley. If I could be bothered to change my name, I probably would change it to Huxley. But yeah, that's why my name is Huxley. Shall we move on to the next question? Will we ever see a return of the How I Make Music series? Yes. So if you don't know, on my YouTube channel, there's about 4 or 5 videos that go through how I've made a particular song. I'm actually going to record another one today about how I made Unlucky. And I'm going to be doing it with all of my singles going forward, because I think you guys like knowing more about my songs and like why I've made them and stuff. We have another question from Kellis Binky, who is in the chat. How many tattoos do you have? I have, I think, like 22. I've got good. No, I've got luck. I've got good on this hand. I've got death in Japanese. Isle of Dogs tattoo that you can't really see, but I think it's on my Instagram. I've got like cursed in like Coca-Cola writing, like right here. Angel in Japanese right here. I've got 2 teardrops here. Lots and lots of little ones. Another question from Binky. How did you get into the music business, like meeting your manager and all that? Very good question. When I was younger, I was taught how to play the piano and the guitar, because I started doing that. I started writing my own music. I wanted to be a producer, like I wanted to produce music like on a computer, but I didn't have a computer at the time. I had an iPhone though. So what I would do is I would use GarageBand on my iPhone, which you'd only have like 8 different instruments that you could use at a time. And then I started making music like that. That became the way that I was producing music. And I did that for like a year or something. I wasn't releasing anything, but like that was the way I was like putting my ideas down. And then eventually I got a computer. I was able to move on from that to Logic, which is what I use now. I started producing music. And what I would do is I would upload it to BBC Introducing, which is a platform on the BBC website where you can upload your music, and people from Radio 1 and Radio 2 and whatever will listen to your music. And I was just doing that because I was like, well, I don't really know what I'm meant to be doing in terms of releasing music. But I think the key, if you are looking for management or if you want to be recognized, is that you have to put your stuff out there. You have to put it out online. You have to show it to people. You have to play it to people. You have to go and do shows and like, or open mics and just show it to people. You need to build a network around yourself so that people can notice that you put lots of effort into this and that you're really good. So this question is from Inner Dream Snake Eater, and he asks, who or what inspires your music that aren't musicians? And this is a brilliant question, because more often than not, my music is inspired by things that aren't music, like cartoons or books or anime or conversations or like paintings. Once I've started to make the song, then I'll start pulling in musical references from things that I like. A lot of it though is cartoons and animation and anime and stuff, because that's kind of that's kind of the only thing I watch and what I grew up on. If you could collab with another musician, who would it be? Or musicians? Very good question. I'd probably say Billie Eilish. I feel like we can make very good music. Like is that dark sort of pop? That would be a really good match in terms of collaboration, because I think the music would be really good and the production would be really good. This is another question from Nick. How much money would it take you to shave your head? 10 grand, probably. I don't really like having short hair. I'm not like obsessed with having this hair, you know? So, yeah, probably 10 grand. Guido on Instagram asks, best life hack to get rid of stage fright? I would say the key to not being nervous or stage anxiety is just brutal amounts of practice, which I know is really long advice. If you know the thing that you're doing back to front perfectly, it doesn't really matter how nervous you are or anxious you are, because you can still do it. So that's what I would say. We've got a question from Persnickety. What do you do when you're not motivated to create music? I never force myself to make music. It should always be fun. Like it should always just be like, oh, I've got like this really interesting idea that I want to turn into something, you know? There are things you can do to make yourself more interested in making music, certain medicinal things that you can do, but also think about the things that you like about music and think if those things have ever been combined in a way that you would really like them. Another really great tip that I can give you, actually, this is for the producers out there: find a song that you really like and then add to it, add drums to it, add a melody to it, add harmony to it, add chords to it, add strings to it. Do all that to a part of a song that you really like, and then delete the song, and then you'll have not a new song, but you'll have enough of a new song to make something else with. That's a really good tip. So Nick has asked, you can only invite 3 people to dinner, alive or dead. Who are your 3 choices? Can be celebrities or normal people. Stephen King, because I feel like it would be a really interesting conversation, because one of my favorite books ever is The Longest Walk by Stephen King, and I think just to talk to him about it would be nuts. Nina Simone, because I think she's such an interesting person. I feel like it'd be kind of stressed to talk to her, but I think it'd be really fun. The woman that created Full Metal Alchemist, Hiromu Arakawa, that is who I would invite. So Stephen King, Nina Simone, and Hiromu Arakawa. I don't know if they'd get on with each other, but I would be fascinated to talk to those people. What would be your weapon of choice in the zombie apocalypse? 100%. Okay, I've got 2. If we can have guns with like loads of ammo or whatever, I would have a revolver. I'd have 2 revolvers. One would be black and one would be white. I don't know why, but they would. I'd have 2 revolvers. Or if I couldn't have guns, because maybe ammo is sparse or whatever, I would have 2 butcher's knives. Like big ones, like big, sick butcher knives in it. That would be. I think about that all the time because I have a butcher's knife and it's like my favorite kind of bladed weapon. So I'd have 2 butcher's knives. This is another question by Sarcastic. What do you think has been the most important part of your career? And that is a very good question. It's a very broad question. I think the most important part of my career has been the years and years I spent figuring out exactly the kind of music that I want to make. And also, through doing that, sounding like no one else. The years that I spent in isolation, essentially, being like, oh, I like this part of this song, and I like this part from this genre, and I like this style of singing, and I like this melody style, and this arrangement style. I think the years that I spent like solidifying that and understanding what it is I like about those things and how to put them together has been the most important part of my career. Because now, the person that I am now, I don't even have to think about the music that I'm making. It just is that way because of the years that I spent figuring it all out. So I would probably say that was probably the most important part of my musical career thus far. And I think that is a good question to end this on. Again, I don't want to make this too long because I need to edit this all down and put it into a YouTube video. Yeah. Thank you all for coming to my TED Talk. This has been fun. If you have any more questions, put them in the Discord and maybe I'll do this again. Great questions, everyone. Okay. I'm going to catch you all on the flip side because I need to edit down 40 minutes worth of content into like a 5-minute YouTube video. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming. Peace.